welcome back to Health Over Leadership. I am your host, Dr. Lastasia Williams. I hope everyone is having a great start to your week. I'm excited because Sunday, just like everybody else, I was watching the women's championship game, and that was crazy. Those young women were playing, they were competing, and it was just great to see for women's basketball. And I was really excited for Coach Don because she is what I consider a an example of a great leader, and because she's not just concerned about her girls as it relates to them helping her win a championship, but she's concerned for them as women and just being successful and what that looks like. And not only just women on her team, she is concerned about just women in general. I've seen her, talk about women on other teams, and what she did at the end of that game, the way she talked about Caitlin Clark, that was great. So I just think that she's just a great leader. So maybe one day I can have her on the podcast. I'm going to speak that into existence, and so that will be an exciting time. So let's see if we can make that happen. I want to make that happen. Like I said, I like to speak things into existence. So let's see how that works out. But I just want to go ahead and dive into the episode for today. Today I want to talk about those leaders who are, they're more concerned about the title than they are the employees. Now, I know we've all, been in some places, and sometimes you may not even think about it, but we've all been in some places where you have that leader who they're just concerned about the title and what that entails versus their employees. And so we're going to discuss how that mindset affects those who we're leading, and how we can utilize empathy and just genuine concern for others to help remove that type of mindset, and how that helps our organizations. So many people, when they have, you have people, they're trying to climb the ranks, so to speak. When they think about leadership, I think there's this illusion of leadership, of what that actually looks like, because some people, they like to think that leadership is synonymous with having a lot of power and authority. And for me, I don't view leadership that way. I don't feel that leadership is synonymous with power and authority. And so when you're looking at true leadership, it has nothing to do with that title, or nothing to do with what kind of office you have, what kind of suits you're wearing. Leadership and true leadership, it it goes into motivating others, empowering other people that you lead. Pretty much, you're building other leaders. When you look at effective leaders, every leader who you can think of that's an effective leader, they're motivating other people. They're empowering other people. They are building leaders. So I tell the nurses that I have the privilege of leading all the time that everything that I instill, or everything that I'm teaching in a professional development, or whatever we are, I'm doing it in a way to where, and I tell them, and they say, "Why do you always say that?" But I tell them that I'm doing it because I want anyone in this room to be able to take over if I'm ever either removed or I leave, because the work still needs to continue. And so when you have those individuals who look at leadership as, oh, it's it's based on having authority or being over someone else. They, with that mindset, they're not actually building other leaders. And so when they leave, guess what? The work, it's hard to continue because they haven't taken the time to build someone else up. Because sometimes there are people who are afraid to build others up because they're insecure about their leadership skills. Hey, that's probably going to be a different topic for another day because we can stay there all day long. But I'm secure in my leadership. I'm secure in the things that I know. I'm secure about any. I'm not afraid to build other people up. That's how you have a successful and a healthy organization, a department, school, church, wherever. You should always be in the mindset as a leader that you're building other leaders. You should not have this illusion of what leadership really is, this negative illusion as it relates to being over someone, or I'm you know sometimes when you're at church, I'm pastor so and so, or if you go into a boardroom, I'm executive director so and so. Nobody really cares if your leadership style is one in which that it's not even helping your organization move. You're just in there to tell other people what to do, make money, go home and do it all over again. But what are you doing in that in between? What are you doing with your leadership role? And so we don't want to, as leaders, you should not want to be so in love with the title that you forget about how you're treating people. That title should not put you into in a position to where you're treating people as if they're less than, or they, you, hey, I'm over you. Yes, we know that as it relates to um, authority and decision making, but when you're leading others and you're trying to make decisions for the betterment of that organization or that department, leadership should not be such that you forget about those who you're leading, that you are treating them in such a way that they don't matter. And so we don't want to have that type of mindset as as leaders, because what that can do is that it comes with a human cost. And what that means, it it makes the people in which you're leading feel as if they don't matter. They feel as if they don't have a say. They feel as if they can't come and talk to you as a leader and voice their, opinions, or maybe they don't agree with something that was said in a meeting or something that was said in an email or a policy or procedure that is in place. But they say, okay, it doesn't matter because they're going to do what they want to do anyway, and they're the boss, so I'm just going to keep it moving. That's how you build a culture of a bunch of yes people. And you don't want a bunch of yes people around you, because guess what? When you have a lot of yes people around you, nothing gets done right, because you don't have anybody there to disagree with what you're trying to do, because everything that you want to put in place as a leader, everything isn't good. Let's be honest about it. Everything that you put, you need someone to say, hey, have we thought about it this way? Did we think about this before you put something into play as it relates to policies and how it affects other people? Because if you just have a bunch of yes people around you, they're going to make you think that everything that you come up with is great, and it's not. Everything that you come up with as a leader is not great, and it affects that that the human nature that should exist within your organization. When you have a negative effect on that, then your organization can't function, it can't move forward, it's going to stay stagnant. If you show me any organization that is not uh, forward moving, they don't have a lot of innovation. You show me an organization that is like that, and I'll show you an organization whose leader is more concerned with the title than their employees. And because they're not listening to anyone but themselves, or they want someone to build their ego up to say, "Oh yes, that's the greatest thing you could have thought of," and it's not. You don't want people around you like that. Well, let me speak for myself. I don't. As a leader, I want someone to say, "Hey, have we thought about this? I don't think that is, a good thing." And then they can tell me why. And then we can have a conversation about, okay, well, let's see how that works in this situation, and this situation. And then we can make a decision. As leaders, we should not go in the room saying, "Hey, I'm the leader. This is what I say goes." It's kind of like, that parent that, "Hey, because I said so." Well, that doesn't really work when you're thinking about working adults. Again, I'll speak for myself. It doesn't work for me. You, as a leader, you can't come to me, "Oh, okay, well, we're doing it because I said so." Okay, well, this doesn't make much sense. Can you tell me why we're doing this? And I've had some, leaders who they were just that. "Hey, you just do it because I said do it." Well, anybody who knows me, they know that will not fly. And I just can't do it just because it has to make sense, especially in my role as a nurse. Yes, I'm a leader, but I've come through and doing school nursing, which is a totally different dynamic in itself, because school nursing, I was in two different worlds. So I was in the educational world, and then I was in the healthcare world. And a lot of times those on each side, they don't understand how it connects. So when we're looking in leaders, in my situation, when I was in a school clinic, they couldn't understand why, although they wanted me to do certain things, that I would say, "No, I can't do that because that goes against my nursing license." Let me tell you something. I worked really hard for that. So whatever you got going on and whatever you want to do, that don't have nothing to do with me, because first of all, as a leader, you didn't consult me. And so when you didn't consult me, you couldn't find out why it is that I can't do that. There's certain things that the Board of Nursing will allow us to do. And if whatever you want to do for the parent or the staff goes against the policies of the district, and it goes against the Board of Nursing, guess what? Leader or not, I'm not doing it. And I will tell you, and that's how I lead my nurses now. Now I'm out of the clinic seat. Now I'm in a leadership seat. And so I always say, "Hey, you got to protect your license." And so if what your leader, which is, although I am leading them, they still have to answer to principals on campuses, and that's for any school district. But I tell them, if it goes against the policies and procedures of the district and our department, and if it goes against the Board of Nursing, you can question it, because for one, we're not going to do it. But it's okay to question it. And many, I've worked in many school districts. Before I got into the leadership role, I worked in many school districts where there were some who did not want to question those in leadership. Nurses wanted to question those in leadership because they said, well, they're the boss. No, you don't do. If it goes against the board of nursing, we don't do it. And so that's an example of someone who is respecting the title even if it costs them something. I'm sorry. I don't I I'm not saying I don't respect, but I don't want to be in a position to where I'm respecting the title more than I am placing over what it is that I know that I'm supposed to do. And as a leader, we shouldn't put those that we are leading in that type of situation. We I don't want to place anyone that I'm leading into a situation where they have to question or they have to jeopardize whatever certification they have, whatever license they have, just because I'm the leader and I told them to do so. That's not a great way to lead others. I don't want someone leading, well, following me just because they say, "Hey, you know what? I'm only doing this because I respect the title and I'm scared of what they're gonna do, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it." No, that's not how we should lead. We should not lead other people in a way that they fear us. And I think many leaders get that confused, or and some find joy in that. And I don't. I don't want anyone to say, "Oh my gosh, that's she's a hard leader." No. Anyone who knows me and how I lead, they no one can never say that, "Oh, she's so mean, she's this, she's that." Now they might say, "Oh, she's stern, but she's fair, and I care about those that I lead." And I can't say that. Sometimes I've been in situations where I didn't have a leader like that. I didn't have a leader who cared about what was going on or how their leadership style made me feel. Some leaders could care less. And when you are in that type of situation, you move into to stressing your employees out. Sometimes their mental health can be affected. They're going to be burnt out because they're doing things just to please you as a leader because you said to do it, and we know that it's not right, but you push them into a place that they don't want to be. When we think about it, working, we're in a place where we're there more than we're at home. I don't want to go to a place that I'm at more than I'm at home and feel as if I have to walk on eggshells around anyone in the building, or that I can't talk to anyone. I can't be myself. I'm stressed out. I'm crying because I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to get up and go to work because I got to deal with these people today." I don't want to be in a place like that. As a leader, I don't want people to be around me and feel that way. And so we want to, as leaders, being an effective leader and thinking about the health of our organization and the health of our employees. And when I say health, it's not always the physical health of the individual. We need to think about the spiritual health and the mental health of those in which we lead. And so we want to build a culture of empathy. Now, there's In this society right now, the big thing is talking about culture and climate. Culture and climate. You hear it all the time. And I had a conversation with someone one time, and I said, I wonder, do they really understand what culture and climate really is? Because if they did, many of our organizations would not function the way that they do. And I think, just my opinion, that many times people get culture and climate so they mingle it up and put it together all the time that it looks like it's running together, and which culture and climate are two separate things, but they're closely related. And I think many times people feel like if I'm addressing this one, that's good. Well, they're so closely related that you have to be able to address both well in order to function properly as a organization. So when you think about the climate of a place, that's really how things are going or how things are feeling right now. The climate, how are we feeling right now? And the culture of the place, just simply put, how things is done over time. Many times you have leaders who think that they are addressing both the culture and well, they think they're addressing the culture of the place when they're actually only addressing the climate. And if you're not careful as a leader, if you do not fully address the culture of your organization, I don't care what you do to to bring a positive impact on the climate, it's not going to work. Just in my opinion. Now, if you're one of those leaders who think otherwise, DM me, send me a message, and we can have a conversation. But in my opinion, I feel that if you don't address the culture, it's really really hard to keep up with that climate, because it's going to eventually go back to this negative space, especially if the culture is negative, because over time sometimes when you have different leadership, they're coming in and out, and they have their own way of thinking, and they never consult with the people who are there, then over time the culture of the place becomes something that's unrecognizable. I've been in places where you start out and you're like, oh my gosh, I really love being here. And then you get in different leaders, and the leadership, it changes, and so therefore the culture changes. And you're like, you look down the road and you're saying to yourself, oh my gosh, I don't even recognize this. This is not how we used to be. I was in one place, and I won't say where it is, and we had a leader, and she made sure that everyone in the building felt as if they had some type of say in how the building was run, and how everything worked. Now, ultimately, she had the final say of everything, but it felt like even if you did not talk to a person in that building, or you didn't have a relationship with, as it a relationship meaning like I speak to you every day, even if you did, the culture in the building was so family oriented that everyone made sure that everyone was okay. We are it, whether you talk to that individual, we made sure everyone was okay. And so when she transitioned out into another role, and then someone else transitioned in, her style was, I'm coming in, and this is what I say, and we're going to do this. You guys were under old leadership. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm bringing new people in. So now it's us against you. It's them against them. And it brought it to a place where we were no longer that family. And over time, we looked and said, this is not what we're used to. This is not how it was in the beginning. And so the climate eventually changed. I don't care what she did. She she would, try to give us this, and it just didn't work because the culture, it was rock bottom. And I was even to the place I was like, you know what, I don't even want to do this anymore. And I said in my head, I said, I don't want to be a leader like that. Because if I'm coming into a place where I'm the new person as the leader, and you have all of these people who have been here, I don't want to come in and say, you know what, everything you did was wrong, we're going to change it, and boom, we're going to make this better. Well, guess what? You can't make it better by yourself. You need those who are already there to help you, whatever vision that you have for the organization, to move them forward. You need the people who's there working. You can't say, oh, y'all don't know nothing. Y'all don't know a thing, so you can't do it by yourself. So what are you supposed to? Well, a good leader would come in and say, "Hey, I'm just here. I'm evaluating. I'm observing, because everything doesn't have to go out." And if you're a leader who, okay, I'm just concerned with this title, you don't care. You're just thinking about me and how I'm gonna do, and you're gonna do what I say. Well, you're not gonna be there very long because the people will shut down. Like I said before, it's gonna cost. You're gonna have that human cost. That human cost, that too. The employees who are with you, they're gonna like, look, I'll let you do this by yourself. Cause I'm not about to entertain you today. And you want to be the head honcho? Well, I want to say something else, but I won't. But you want to be in charge? Oh, okay. I'm gonna let you do it. I'm gonna let you do that by yourself. We would never get anywhere and be successful as an organization if we treat our people as if they don't matter. So we gotta lead. We have to create this culture of empathy. And you would think empathy, but leadership was a cuss word. Like you would think, oh, you just talked about my mom and cussed me out because I said, oh, be empathetic. Come on. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's better for your organization. So I just want us to think about that. When you're leading and you're thinking about this, we gotta lead by example. The reason why some people, leaders, your organization, is you look at it and you like, oh my gosh, we not doing anything. We look like this. It might be time to step back and do a self-evaluation and say, wait a minute, what is it that I'm doing? Am I leading by example? Am I coming in here and do am I humble? Do I have integrity? Am I setting a positive example for those that I lead? Now, you might be delusional and say, no, I'm doing these things. It's them. Sometimes you got to look at yourself as a leader and say, what is it that I'm doing that's not right? When I talk to the nurses that I lead, I say, anything that goes right, you get the credit. Anything that's wrong, I take responsibility for that. The reason I do that is because I'm always thinking in my mind, maybe I did not explain that well. Maybe I didn't get enough input on it. Now, sometimes there are many times when we have to make decisions really quickly, and we have to it's an emergency, and we don't have time to get that input. But if there's time where we can, sit down with those around, maybe I did not explain what it is I needed to do. So anything that's right, you get the credit. I can't do it by myself. You guys did this. Anything that's wrong, I take that up on me, and that's my responsibility. Does every leader do that? No. Am I saying that it's right? No, because you can lead how you want to. I'm just saying that's what I do. So we want to lead by example. I never asked anybody that I'm leading to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. I don't want to be this leader where I'm too high and mighty that I can't do X, Y, and Z. Oh, I told you to do it. That's your job. Yeah, but sometimes some people might need a little extra push. You have some of those on your team. Sometimes poor little tink tink. Some of them may need a little push, and so I'm not above, you know, getting in there and say, hey, we need to do it like this. I'm never going to ask them to do something that I'm not willing to do. My title isn't so big that it makes me bigger than them. Am I in a leadership role? Yes, absolutely, I am. And it's my responsibility to make sure that my department runs well. But I also want to lead by an example, a positive example. I don't want to be in there and, you know, you're yelling and you're fussing all the time, and consequently you have somebody you say, oh, this is my mentee. Well, guess what they're going to do when they obtain a leadership role? They're going to be mean, yelling at people, and they're going to think that this is the way that you're supposed to be a leader. I've seen it too many times where they say, oh, that's my mentor. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, oh, I understand why you act like the way you act right now, because your mentor not nothing. I mean it just like that. I did. I know that's bad grammar, but as my husband said, that's good theology. You ain't nothing, and your leader not, and your mentor not nothing. You can rewind that and think about it. I don't. It totally bad grammar, but I promise you, it's good theology. You don't want to influence someone that you're leading and make them think that this is how leadership goes. Leadership is more about the title. Leadership is more about getting in there and saying, hey, I'm this and you're beneath me. That's not what leadership is. As a leader, as a great leader, as an effective leader, you always want to be in the mindset that you're building other leaders. You always want to be empathetic to those that are around you. You want to be mindful of how your behavior can affect their mental health, which consequently affects the bottom line of what you're trying to do. You want to be productive. And so if you're running around there and you're putting a bunch of stress on them unnecessarily, then that doesn't work either. So you want to make sure that as a leader, you're doing all of those things if you want to be successful in your organization, if you want to be successful in your department, if you want your team to be successful. Think about those things. We want everyone who's on our team to feel as if they're respected and they're valued. If they don't feel this way, guess what? They're not going to stick around long, and you're going to have a high turnover rate. And then you're going to get people in there who really don't want to do the job. They're just there for a check. Think about your leadership style this week. Are you more concerned with your title, or are you concerned about how you treat those in which you lead? Until next time, stay healthy.